Beverly Hills Cop 4. Instead of titling it 4, they call this one Axel F for Axel Foley. It's a good choice in the name. If you call it 4, then people have to remember 3, and 3 is the Beverly Hills Cop that shall not be named. So we're going to skip right past that one. This brings back a lot of nostalgia. It brings back a lot of the old stuff that we enjoyed about the first and the second Eddie Murphy movies with Beverly Hills Cop theme. It's got Axel Foley. He's back, but he's older. So, I mean, there's a scene where he's going to go in and do a crazy voice and pretend to be somebody so he can get into a hotel. And he's just like, skip it. How much is the room? The room was like $1,000 a night, just about $1,000. Why would you stay there? Why do you know, he was in a car. You go to the next city, sleep there, and then come to Beverly Hills. You don't sleep in Beverly Hills, man. $1,000 a night? All you're gonna get is a bed, some walls, a TV, maybe they might have a jacuzzi in the room. I don't know. I mean, what is it? $1,000 a night. Yeah, that's crazy. And they didn't show him skip out on the bill, so he must have just paid it. That was crazy. He had to buy a car while he was there because he couldn't rent one. The rental place was, they were hinting that he had a little money, I guess, because he had to buy a vehicle because he couldn't rent one. Had to pay $1,000 a night for a room that he was barely in. He couldn't stay with one of the guys. Taggart and Billy were there, Rosewood. And I've noticed that they usually call Billy. And they usually call Taggart. I think it's so that you can see one is older than the other one. I'm gonna call you Billy, but you respect me and go by my last name, Taggart. His first name's John Taggart. But they're back. They are noticeably older than the movie they did in the 80s and 90s or whatever. Paul Reiser is back. I used to love Mad About You. That was a funny show to me. But he's back, and he's the deputy chief now because, of course, the gentleman that was the deputy chief in the first movie has passed. And so Jeffrey's back. You know, he was the guy, this is not my locker. That was always funny to me. Serge is back. And they bring all of these people back. And it's good. It's nostalgia. It made me think about the old movies. They didn't do a banana in the tailpipe kind of a thing. I was thinking if they were going to do nostalgia, that's like the biggest thing. You know, banana in the tailpipe. He didn't talk to any black guy and tell him he sounded white. That was funny. Nah, you sound like this guy. You're supposed to say, no, I'm supposed to put a banana in the tailpipe. They didn't do that joke. But to me, those were two of the biggest jokes. You know, aside from the running thing of him changing his personality and voice to become different people to try to get away with stuff. Eddie Murphy being all those different characters to get in and out of different situations and stuff like that, changing his voice, little disguises, reminded me of Chevy Chase and Fletch. I remember Chevy Chase doing a very similar thing in Fletch. To be honest, I don't remember which movie came first. It's been a long time, and I guess I could look it up, but I'm not. So it reminded me of that. But this movie was good. He's in Detroit again, and he could have retired or he could have taken a desk job, you know, because of his age and how long he's been doing it. It's like 30 years, but he didn't want to. And Jeffrey, who was the chief of police, now tells him he should just take a job. He's going to retire. You should retire. And he's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I like being on the street. Guess he likes the action. So he still is a street detective. And of course, he gets a call from California again. That's what the movie's all about. He's got to go to California to do, they should have called it California Cop. or the traveling Detroit cop. But he's got to go to California again and solve a mystery that nobody can solve except for this one lone cop from Detroit. And he's picking up on clues that nobody else seen, or they're not doing it fast enough, or they don't have enough voices. So he's got to go there and he's got to solve it. But this time it's personal because it involves his daughter. He's got a daughter now. And it involves Billy. And, he loves Billy, and of course, he loves his daughter, even though they don't really dig each other that much in the movie, the TV show, the movie that was on TV. So he's got to go there, and he's got to sort some stuff out. He's got to shoot some people. He's got to get into some fist fights. He's got to pretend to be other people. You know what, the first 5 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes, I was like, oh no, man, no. But then after that, it was like the movie started to warm up, and Eddie Murphy felt more like he was getting into the character. It felt more like 48 Hours, like Beverly Hills Cop after a few minutes. It was like not, I used to be on a track team. And on the track team, we would get out there on a track, everybody was cold, meaning they hadn't stretched or anything. If your event was the first event, it was terrible because maybe you didn't have enough time to stretch as much as other people did. But then when you warmed up, then you felt better and you performed better. That's what this movie was like to me. In the first few minutes, it was kind of cold, but the movie started to warm up, and I was like, okay, there it is. There were a lot of things that happened that were a little bit overkill. Stuff that could happen in the 80s, like stealing a big truck and driving through the city and running into a bunch of vehicles, and then nobody remembers you did it. You don't go to jail, you don't get charged. Nobody's trying to say you owe them money for destroying $1 million worth of property. He just did it. He must have hit 176 cars with a truck he was driving, running red lights, driving through buildings. He did all kinds of stuff in vehicles. He was shooting people. I guarantee you, if I was in a truck and I was driving down the street and I was running into one vehicle and I shot just one person, I think they'd have a problem with that. But he was just everywhere, shooting people and beating people up, smacking people with powder, and with the hose, the fire hose thing. He was tripping, breaking people's noses, showing up at party. I'm thinking, okay, in the 80s, you're going to suspend belief. It's a movie anyway. But in the 80s, it seemed like that stuff would happen more often. But now, the moviegoer is a little bit wiser. And they're probably looking at that like, how come he ain't in jail? What's going on? In the movie Blade was killing a bunch of vampires. He killed one human, and all of a sudden, the forces that be turned up on him. It's like Whistler said, there's a body now. There's proof. You're a murderer, bruh. So they went after him. But Eddie Murphy shot a lot of people, and punched a lot of people in the face. Nobody's pressing charges. But it was a good movie just the same. Then there's a guy that shows up in the movie that you know he's the bad guy. You know he's the villain. There's no way. Being a moviegoer now, you know that the movie didn't pay this much money for a guy, Kevin Bacon, to show up in a movie and not be the bad guy. So, and he smiles too much. He said, hey, how you doing? Smile. Oh, I'm sorry about what happened. Smile. And I'm like, come on, man, nobody smiles that much. Even if you just got your teeth done, you don't show them at people that much. Wolves don't show their teeth that much. Sharks don't show their teeth that much. And he was just he got caught. He was clearly caught. They caught him, you know, basically with his hand in the cookie jar, talking to the bad guys at a party. And he just turned around and smiled. I'm like, come on. You know he's the bad guy. And shot all these other people. Why don't you shoot him? But it was a good movie. It brought me back to the 80s. It brought me back to the first one, to the second one. I had to remember the third one, but this was good. This was good. The comedy was not as over the top as the third one, but it wasn't as good as the first one, but it was good nonetheless. As a regular standalone movie, it would be okay. As a nostalgia, remember when this happened kind of a movie, it was even better. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. He gets a chance to try to work it out with his friends. He gets a chance to try to work it out with his daughter. He meets there's new characters. They introduce new characters. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I'd say 80% of it was really good. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much that I would give Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Six bags of popcorn. 6 bags of popcorn. It went straight to Netflix. And there's a reason for that. It would not have done as well in a theater. 6 bags of popcorn. Because that's what I think about that. More importantly, what do you think about that? Now you've seen the video, let's talk about it some more in the comments. And as always, if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. And then like.
Popcorn passport.